Halo pemirsa, hadir bersama saya Sally Siregar. Kami akan memberikan update terkini mengenai peristiwa unik dan menarik yang kami rangkum dalam Kilas Mancanegara. Pemirsa, semangat Noveo Alexander untuk mempercantik orang, membuka pintu usaha di Amerika. Mulai dari tampilan natural pesta meriah, hingga penampilan di panggung dan catwalk New York Fashion Week. Apa rahasia Noveo untuk jadi makeup artis yang sukses di Amerika? Berikut beritanya untuk Anda.
Sapuan kuas make-up-nya bagai tongkat ajaib yang mengubah penampilan kliennya. Veo, panggilan akrab Noveo Alexander, adalah make-up artis asal Indonesia yang berbasis di Los Angeles, California.
Sebagai makeup artist, aku udah dari 2011. But before that, aku di Singapura almost 2 years. After that, aku balik 2011, balik Indonesia, balik Jakarta. Terus aku nekunin makeup sambil kuliah. Nah, dari situ sambil kuliah, sambil kerja, sambil makeup sampai sekarang.
Noveo mengamati ada perbedaan cukup signifikan menjadi makeup artis antara di Amerika dengan di Indonesia.
Mereka tuh di sini tuh ngecasnya beda-beda kalau makeup artis ini. Kadang kalau kita mau pakai bulu mata ada tambahan lagi kayak gitu. Untuk ikutin mereka tuh sebenarnya agak susah. Cuman kita mencoba untuk kayak lebih menyamankan klien kita langsung yang kayak all in gitu.
Selain juga keberagaman etnis warga Amerika yang membuatnya harus lebih banyak belajar soal teori warna.
Dengan segmented banget gitu. Kalau misalnya untuk kulit yang lebih gelap, dia akan makeup artisnya itu ya untuk kulit yang agak gelap gitu. Nah, jadi mereka akan pilih. Jadi makeup di sini tuh mereka punya keahlian masing-masing.
Tak hanya warga Amerika, tak sedikit klien Veo datang dari Indonesia. Mulai dari permintaan makeup photoshoot, pernikahan, hingga penampilan glamor di atas panggung maupun di catwalk. Tak jarang, Veo diterbangkan ke penjuru Amerika untuk melayani permintaan makeup. Bagi pelanggannya, energi positif yang dipancarkan Noveo membuat mereka nyaman dan percaya dengan riasan Veo.
Yang membuat berbeda, pertama kerjanya rapi. Terus saya suka sama dia tuh bukan makeup artis yang suka ngerumpi, yang banyak ngomong. Jadi kalau kerja diam, karena nggak semua customer itu suka diajak ngomong. Jam terbang selama dia ada di sini, kerjanya menjadi lebih praktis ya gitu. Jadi banyak hal-hal baru yang aku lihat juga dari skillnya dia, dari bagaimana cara dia apply semua produk-produk yang dia pakai.
We really wanted to use Noveo because the other day we worked with him before, right? For the entire day. And he was a really, really funny guy. And we just laughed the entire day with him. And he's really fun to work with, yeah.
Veo punya cita-cita besar dengan talentanya.
My dream pengen sih kan kenapa aku base-nya di LA. Soalnya kan semua orang juga tahu this is Hollywood. Ya kan, artis-artis semua juga datang ke sini untuk Hollywood. Mungkin pengen menjadi makeup artist atau Hollywood makeup artist. Ya, doanya cuma itu doang sih.
Dari Los Angeles, California, Virginia Gunawan, Aryatna Budianto, Supriyono, VOA.
Kemajuan teknologi telah membantu pengembangan tangan buatan yang dikenal sebagai tangan bionik. Sebuah perusahaan di California, Amerika Serikat mengembangkan sensor tekanan pada jari tangan bionik sehingga penggunanya bisa merasakan sentuhan dan berinteraksi dengan objek yang dipegang.
Anika Berlin menggunakan tangan bionik yang bisa ia kendalikan lewat elektroda yang ditekankan pada kulit lengan bawahnya.
I'm contracting like the end of my muscle, the end of my arm on this side of my arm to close it, and then I'm contracting the muscle out here to open the hand.
Tangan bionik ini adalah produk dari perusahaan California, Psionic. Menurut pendirinya, Adil Akhtar, teknologi penginderaan otot sudah ada sejak lama. Tapi kemajuan teknologi pencetakan 3 dimensi dan mikrokontroler kini memfasilitasi pengembangan tangan ini. Sistem robotika lunak membantu membuat tangan menjadi kuat dan cepat. Tapi menurut Adil, fitur yang paling menarik adalah sensor tekanan pada jari-jari tangan untuk memberikan umpan balik sentuhan kepada pengguna.
When they grab an object, they will feel a vibration on their skin, and then they'll know that they've touched the object when they've let go of the object, and also have a little bit of semblance of how much pressure they're applying on the object as well.
Menurut Anika, adanya umpan balik sentuhan berarti ia tidak perlu melihat secara langsung cengkraman tangannya saat ia mengambil secangkir kopi. Adil mengatakan langkah selanjutnya adalah mengintegrasikan tangan secara langsung ke dalam tulang pengguna lewat teknologi implan saraf yang memungkinkan jari dikontrol secara individual.
And with that, we're hoping that in a couple of years, we might get our first patients to play piano or type on a keyboard again. If you're building a robot to do the same thing that humans are, then you can use our hand for robots as well.
Tangan Psionic juga menjadi bagian dari robot astronot humanoid NASA yang disebut Valkyrie, yang sedang dipersiapkan oleh Badan Antariksa Amerika itu untuk digunakan di ruang angkasa. Dari Arlington, Virginia, saya Helmi Yohanes dan tim VOA.
Bermain video game bersama keluarga atau bersama ke toko rental video atau DVD guna memilih film untuk hiburan akhir pekan adalah kegiatan bersama banyak keluarga pada tahun 1990-an. Meski tak banyak lagi dilakukan, banyak tempat hiburan kini menawarkan menghidupkan lagi pengalaman masa lalu ini.
Untuk pertama kalinya sebuah tempat hiburan Super Nintendo World dibuka di luar negara asalnya Jepang, yaitu sebagai bagian Universal Studios Hollywood, taman hiburan di Los Angeles, negara bagian California, yang sebelumnya lebih banyak menampilkan wahana bertema film.
We are known for our film franchises, which are terrific and they're very immersive. Games are a different thing, and it almost speaks to how, the evolution of how we even engage with entertainment is evolving in and of itself.
Soft opening pada Januari hanyalah perkenalan kepada para penggemar video game Nintendo sebelum dibuka untuk umum pada pertengahan Februari.
When I was a kid, my parents, my dad, my uncle, they loved the old Mario stuff. We had the Nintendo Entertainment System, and that's the ones we played. And Dr. Mario as well. Yeah, so that's how long I've known him, since I was a kid, basically. So being here, it's like my childhood in real life,
Nostalgia juga menjadi andalan sebuah tempat hiburan lain juga di Los Angeles, yaitu sebuah bar pop-up bertema rental video. Dari mulai pintu restoran, pengunjung bisa merasakan kembali pengalaman meminjam video dari jaringan rental video Blockbuster.
Welcome to the Blockbuster experience. The first thing we do when we enter here is you're greeted by our lovely Blockbuster employee staff.
Are you ready to make it a Blockbuster night?
I sure am. So you were given one of these drink tickets right here, which is a membership card that acts as our live menu. Follow me right this way. We encourage guests to come check out our cocktails, beer, wine, frozen, and combos. The really fun part and immersive part truly here is that every drink has a name and has a makeup on it. So let's just say I want the Pineapple Express. Great, love the Pineapple Express. I'm gonna make my way right over to this counter, and I'm gonna hand this off to a bartender. You're gonna hand him this bartender, this drink right here, like I do to Sherry.
Be kind, rewind.
And that is how you order a drink at the Blockbuster pop-up.
Tak hanya makan dan minum, pengunjung juga bisa menikmati berbagai permainan tahun 90-an.
So what you just saw me do will probably bring you back about 20-25 years, but it is a POG set and they're free on all the tables. We just want guests to be completely immersed in all the nostalgic factors, whether it's table games like this or 80s and 90s films that are playing on this big screen right here.
Kegiatan bersama keluarga memilih film untuk kemudian disaksikan bersama mungkin sudah tidak dilakukan lagi karena masing-masing anggota keluarga kini punya akses ke hiburan di layar mereka masing-masing. Tapi nostalgia akan masa-masa tersebut masih ada. Pada masa jayanya, Blockbuster memiliki sekitar 9.000 cabang, satu persatu tutup dengan semakin meluasnya layanan streaming video. Dari Washington DC, saya Nova Purwadi dan tim VOA.
Di usia 11 tahun, Alejandro Buxton telah menjadi CEO Smell of Love Candles, perusahaan lilin vegan dan organik yang dikembangkan sejak umur 9 tahun bersama ibu dan adiknya. Filosofi berbagi untuk kemajuan bersama dilakukannya lewat sumbangan dari laba, juga dengan tips di kanal YouTube-nya.
I'm stirring the wax together with the essential oils. My name is Alejandro Buxton. I'm the CEO of Smell of Candles, and I'm 11 years old, and I'm in 6th grade. Smell of Love Candles is a candle company that specializes in vegan candles and organic candles. And we do not sell candles that have bad chemicals in them. It inspired me, my mom. She loved to burn candles, but then after a while we got headaches from, our allergies were acting up, so she didn't know where they were coming from. So after a while we found out it was actually coming from the candles she was burning. The ingredients we use are soy wax. We also use a little bit of coconut wax to make the scent spread out further. And we use natural essential oils, and all of our supplies can be traced back to the fields in the west of the United States. I learned the process from my mom because she's made candles in the past just for us, not really for selling.
When I went through my separation and divorce from Alejandro's dad, Alejandro and I became even closer because it was just us and his little sister. When he asked me to show him, that's where he was like, well, we can sell these, you know? And that kind of grew from there. But I wanted him to experiment and get the process right. And also, I wanted to see if he was really serious about it before we did all the legal paperwork for the foundation of the business.
So the role for my mom is she does all the back end. She makes sure we have, enough inventory. She orders the inventory, and she does a lot of, marketing, getting us into market.
Right. Put the popsicle stick on.
My little sister's name is Valentina, and she is 4 years old. She is the assistant of operations.
All right, there you go.
And she likes to help around.
Yay! Make sure it's in the middle.
Good job. To me, it's a big bonding family experience because it's almost like, when we cook together, like we're making candles together.
Time I spend in the studio, when we're making a candle, about 4 hours. During the waiting time, we can do other stuff because candles take a time to cool down. So we sometimes, read during that time. We do school during that time, and we do a lot of things. The most interesting part is the markets. I love the markets because we get to interact with different people, and we get to suggest candles you like. I definitely notice my social skills are better now. I've learned a life lesson of budgeting.
You're gonna need a glass jar for a candle.
So I have a YouTube channel. It's called Lessons from a Kidpreneur.
This cools evenly.
We give out a lot of advice for other people who want to start a business or who want to, create candles.
The question people always ask me when it comes to parents is how do I make my son or daughter also be an entrepreneur? And my answer to that is always don't push them. Don't push them into what you think they want to do. Pay attention to what it is that they're interested in, the things that they start.
And another thing is that of success is to help others because we give money to charity, and that spreads the message, and then we also advertise too.
There's always a message that he writes on every order. I'll be making boxes, he'll be wrapping the candles. So it's almost like an assembly line that we're doing.
So it does bring joy. A table accomplished, it feels like we did something great.
Beralih ke berita selanjutnya, pemirsa, peternakan South Mountain Creamery. Ini dikelola oleh keluarga Sauer Brusco. Selain memproduksi untuk 8.000 rumah pelanggan, susu hasil peternakan ini dijual toko-toko lokal dan farmer market. Dan sebagian diolah menjadi 11.360 liter es krim per minggu antara musim semi dan musim panas.
Jalan-jalan ke daerah pedesaan di kota Middletown, Maryland, kita bisa menemukan dairy farm atau peternakan sapi perah yang luasnya sekitar 1.300 hektar. Lokasinya berjarak kurang lebih 1 jam berkendara dari Washington DC. Terdapat sekitar 1.600 sapi dan 70.000 ayam petelur di peternakan ini. Peternakan South Mountain Creamery ini dikelola oleh keluarga Sauer Brusco. Selain memproduksi susu untuk 8.000 rumah pelanggan, dijual di toko-toko lokal dan farmer market, sebagian dari produksi susu diolah menjadi 11.360 liter es krim per minggu antara musim semi dan musim panas.
Take the milk from our cows and we separate it into skim milk and cream. We then take the cream and combine it back with the milk and to get our butter fat to where we want it. We add additional ingredients such as sugar, and there's some milk solids that we add that create our ice cream base. Once our ice cream base is made, we pasteurize that, we age it. After about a day or two of aging, we then will send it to our ice cream freezer and freeze it, turning it into ice cream.
Sapi-sapi sini dikembangbiakan dengan cara kawin suntik atau inseminasi buatan.
This is the first step for our calves after they're born. Our farm team will kind of scoop them up and bring them up here. It's for a couple reasons, for their health and safety, away from outside predators such as coyotes from the mountain or birds of prey. In here, they can be safe, they're monitored. We have a camera system watching them. They have an air filtration system in here, and then they get fed twice a day.
Ngomongin susu hingga jadi es krim, kurang lengkap rasanya jika tidak mencobanya.
Indonesian vanilla bean.
What is it? It's kind of like real something from Indonesia, or you just name it Indonesia because we are coming today?
No. It's a mix of Indonesian and Madagascar vanilla beans that we use.
So you import that beans?
Yes.
From Indonesia?
Yes, we do, yeah.
Wow, jauh-jauh ada Indonesia vanilla bean. So I'm gonna buy this.
I got the Snallygaster flavor, and it is so good. Very rich and creamy and amazing. It's a nice way to end our trip.
Dari Middletown, Maryland, Ronan Zakaria, Irfan Ihsan, VOA, susah nggak ya?
Pemirsa, tempe diketahui sudah jadi panganan nenek moyang Indonesia, setidaknya sejak tahun 1815. Di Amerika Serikat, tempe sudah mulai familiar di tahun 1970-an dan semakin populer saat ini beriringan dengan makin banyaknya warga Amerika yang menjalani gaya hidup vegan dan vegetarian.
Barry Schwartz sudah berpengalaman 15 tahun memproduksi dan menjual tempe segar di pasar New York. Meski demikian, Barry belum pernah ke Indonesia.
Have you been to Indonesia before? Never.
Barry mempelajari tempe melalui buku resep The Book of Tempe yang membuat tempe mulai dikenal di Amerika dan terbit tahun 1979 karya penulis Amerika Serikat William Shurtleff. Barry adalah seorang vegetarian yang mengaku jatuh cinta terhadap keajaiban tempe. Merasa frustrasi karena tempe di pasar Amerika yang ia rasa tak berkualitas, ia mulai produksi tempenya sendiri melalui labelnya Barry's Tempe.
You know, the magic of making tempeh, that it's mycelium that's binding the beans together. I think the major problem is the big companies that are making it are making bad tempeh, so it'll never get traction. You know, it has to be made fresh, not pasteurized.
Tempe bukan barang baru di Amerika Serikat. Di supermarket besar seperti tempat saya berada saat ini di New York, tempe dengan mudahnya bisa ditemukan khususnya di bagian makanan sehat atau protein alternatif. Harganya, satu blok tempe seperti ini dengan berat kurang lebih 1/4 kilogram, $3,6 atau bahkan lebih mahal sedikit dibandingkan dengan harga dada ayam dengan berat yang serupa.
Mengklaim produk tempenya segar, harga tempe Barry jauh lebih mahal, yakni $12 per setengah kilogramnya. Selain dari kacang kedelai, Barry bahkan juga menjual varian tempe dari kacang-kacangan lain, yakni fermentasi kacang polong, dan juga campuran kacang azuki dan juga beras coklat. Tempe buatan Barry salah satunya dipasok ke restoran vegetarian ABCV yang berada di Manhattan, New York. Tempe disulap menjadi sajian berkelas yang mengharuskan pelanggannya merogoh kocek lebih dalam. Chef di restoran ini memasak tempe kecap manis.
Then we fry it crispy in coconut oil, and then it's marinated in a sauce of ketchup manis and lime juice and shallots and chilies. There's also some black garlic here. We have fried shallots. We put on some bruleed banana.
Dan burger tempe.
So it has some different grains and seeds, sesame, pumpkin, hemp seeds, tempeh culture. We sear it, we marinate it in soy sauce and all these different flavors.
Kedua sajian ini dihargai $21 Amerika Serikat. 1 dari 10 warga Amerika Serikat per tahun 2022 tidak lagi mengkonsumsi daging hewani, membuat panganan tinggi protein seperti tempe semakin naik daun. Meski demikian, tren popularitas tempe masih relatif lamban jika dibandingkan dengan produk protein alternatif lainnya.
Because people don't know what to do with tempeh.
But I think it also has to be delicious, so we need people to cook it well and, do right by it.
Pelan tapi pasti, tempe tak hanya naik daun di negeri Paman Sam, tapi juga naik kelas. Segera membuat mental tempe jadi lebih bermakna positif. Dari kota New York, Randy Wicaksana, VOA.
Berbekal gitar dan pengetahuan musik tradisional, seorang imigran Meksiko berhasil meloloskan diri dari cengkraman bahaya hidup jalanan dan berkarir sebagai pengajar di Amerika Serikat. Selain memberi wadah pelipur kangen kampung halaman bagi komunitas Hispanik di Los Angeles, Cesar Castro ingin membantu mengubah hidup para narapidana yang tertarik mendalami Son Jaraco.
My name is Cesar Castro. I'm a musician from traditional music from Mexico called Son Jarocho. I also teach that music in different places. Son Jarocho is festive music played with jarana, and we sing stories, different ones. They're not songs. Your verse is your own version of the night. I came to the US probably 17 years ago, knowing how to play, how to sing, how to dance, and how to make instruments. And I used this work to avoid going to get those day jobs, stamp things, serve things, clean things. And it has an impact on my cultural project, because I feel part of this project of Son Jarocho in LA. It was never a job. No, it was creating community, creating this music scene. This is a community radio station. I got invited to be part of it since its very beginning. Doing Spanish radio in LA is very important to us, to the immigrant communities, to the elders who might be sometimes lonely.
There are communities in and around LA that listen to and practice and learn about Son Jarocho. It should have its own platform, even if it's just twice a month.
Growing up in a poor neighborhood, music made it easy for me to just say no to do something stupid in the streets. And when you carry a guitar, no matter where you're in the world, people already think of you like, he's not a danger. So that's something that I didn't know, but the guitar was doing that to me. So when I go to schools or different places and also teach in state prisons here in California, I hope that someone has a similar shift in their life.
Demikian berita Kilas Mancanegara kali ini, pemirsa. Tetap saksikan program Kilas Mancanegara setiap Sabtu dan Minggu pukul 7.30 dan 19.30 waktu Indonesia Barat hanya di Simpo TV. Saya Selis Regar dan kru yang bertugas pamit undur diri. Terima kasih dan sampai jumpa.